Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradha Hari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradha Hari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradha Hari Yashodanandana Brajajana Randana Yashodanandana Brajajana Randana Yamuna Tera Yamuna Tera Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradha Hari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradha Hari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradha Hari Yashodanandana Brajajana Randana Yashodanandana Brajajana Randana Yamuna Tera Vanachari Yamuna Tera Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Jahadi Gaura Bhakta Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Radha Shama Sundar Radhe. Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Radha Shama Sundar Radhe. Jaya Radha Sham Radha Sham Radha Sham Jaya Radha Sham. Jaya Radhe Sham Radhe Sham Radhe Sham Jaya Radhe Sham. Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Gauran Nitai Gauran Nitai Gauran Nitai Jaya Gauran Nitai. Jaya Gauran Nitai Gauran Nitai Gauran Nitai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Rukuchaya Sota Sata Shisma Chila Ace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Rukuchaya Sota Sata Shisma Chila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Gadi Vaishnavrinda Ki Sirup Si Sanatan Bhattaraganachi Jeev Gopal Bhattadass Saraganath Sari Goswami Prabhu Ki Prem Se Ko Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityanandasya Advaita Gadadhar Shivajari Gaura Bhaktivedanta Ki Sri Radha Krishna Go Gop Gopavinath Cham Kunda Radha Kundagiri Govardhana Ki Vrindavan Dham Ki Mathura Dham Ki Mayapura Dham Ki Jagannathpuri Dham Ki Tulsi Maharani Bhakti Devi Ki Ganga Yamuna Devi Ki Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Sri Sri Gaunitai Ki Sri Sri Krishna Balaram Ki Sri Sri Radha Shama Sundar Ki Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Samavita Bhakta Vrinda Ki All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Guranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Reading from the Bhagvadgita as it is. First chapter, Observing the Armies, text number 41. Sankaram Narakayam Eva Kulagnanam Kulasyam Cha Patantin Pitara Hi Esham Lupta Pinda Udaka Kriya Shankara Narakayaiva Kulagnanam Kulasya Cha Patanti Pitaro Hyesham Lupta Pindodaka Kriya Shankara Narakayaiva Kulagnanam Kulasya Cha Patanti Pitaro Hyesham Lupta Pindodaka Kriya Shankara Narakayaiva Kulagnanam Kulasya Cha Patanti Pitaro Hyesham Lupta Pinda Doka Kriya Sankaro Narakayaiva Kulagnanam Kulasya Cha Patanti Pitaro Hyesham Lupta Pindo Daka Kriya
Sankaro Narakayaiva Kulatnanam Kulasya Cha Patanti Pitaro Hyesham Lupta Pindo Tadakriya
Sankaro Narakayaiva Kulajnanam Kulasya Cha Patanti Pitaro Hyesham Lupta Pindo Takakriya
Sankaro Narakayaiva Kulajnanam Kulasya Cha Patanti Pitaro Hyesham Lupta Pindo
Sankaro narakayaiva Kulatnanam kulasya cha Padanti pitaro hyesham Lupta pindo daka priyaha
Sankara, such unwanted children, Narakaya, make for hellish life. Eva, certainly. Kulagnanam, for those who are killers of the family. Kulasya, for the family. Cha, also. Patanti, fall down. Pitara, forefathers. He, certainly. Esham, of them. Lupta, stopped. Pinda, of offerings of food. Udaka, and water. Kriya, performances. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. An increase of unwanted population certainly causes hellish life, both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down because the performances for offering them food and water are entirely stopped. Purport. According to the rules and regulations of fruitive activities, there is a need to offer periodical food and water to the forefathers of the family. This offering is performed by worship of Vishnu. Because eating the remnants of food offered to Vishnu can deliver one from all kinds of sinful reactions. Sometimes the forefathers may be suffering from various types of sinful reactions, and sometimes some of them cannot even acquire a gross material body and are forced to remain in subtle bodies as ghosts. Thus, when remnants of prasad and food are offered to the forefathers by descendants, the forefathers are released from ghostly or other kinds of miserable life. Such help rendered to forefathers is a family tradition, and those who are not in devotional life are required to perform such rituals. One who is engaged in the devotional life is not required to perform such actions. Simply by performing devotional service, one can deliver hundreds and thousands of forefathers from all kinds of misery. It is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Devashiputaptarinam pitrenam naking karonayam rini charajan sarvatmanaya sharanam saranyam gato mukundam parirityakatam. Anyone who has taken shelter with the lotus feet of Mukunda, the giver of liberation, giving up all kinds of obligation, and has taken to the path in all seriousness, owes neither duties nor obligations to the demigods, sages, general living entities, family members, humankind, or forefathers. Such obligations are automatically fulfilled by performance of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Jnanatimidam Tasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksuran Militam Yanam Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupagadhamayam Dadati Swapadantigam Bandeham Sri Guru Sri Yotapada Kamalan Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sirupam Sagradatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakandvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastade Datta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshare Prishavano Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shankara Narakaya Iva Kula Gnanam Kulasya Cha Patanti Pitaro Yesham Lupta Pindodaka Kriya. An increase of 100 population certainly causes hellish life both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down because the performances for offering them food and water are certainly stopped. Krishna is speaking to Arjuna and urging Arjuna to not deviate from his dharma, from his duty as a kshatriya, a warrior. So he was supposed to fight against the Kauravas, although they were related, but the Kauravas, they were not following dharma, a religion. They were not worshipping the Supreme Lord. They were against Krishna. They were selfish, just thinking about themselves. And at that time there were so many persons assembled by the will of the Lord, by the will of providence, who are not following dharma. So they had to be vanquished actually. So by Krishna's will, so the Kauravas and Pandavas were assembled and so many warriors were there. And Krishna wanted Arjuna to fight. Fight for the right cause, dharma. Arjuna, he was hesitant because on the other side, the respectable seniors were there. Gurujan, Dronacharya, his spiritual master, Kripacharya, also a teacher, Bhishmadev, who was most respectable, was taking care of the Pandavas since they were children. So they were not supposed to, so he knew also dharma, what is dharma. But at that time he was confused. How can I fight against my superiors? Because according to Shastra it is not allowed. One should be very respectful towards the elders. So one should be respectful with one's consciousness, being humble and respectful towards them, and then speaking very politely to them, not arguing with the superiors. So what to speak of fighting against the superiors? That was highly improper usually. According to dharma, that is improper. But due to circumstances, they were on the side of the Pandavas. The righteous people were, or the righteous warriors were there with the Pandavas, and of course Krishna, it was Krishna's desire. And Krishna is most powerful, but he's most humble also, and he became the chariot driver. Of Arjuna. Whereas on the Kaurava side, so there were actually more warriors there. And then the Gurujan, so they were there. Due to circumstances, because of Bhishmadevi took the vow of protecting Hastinapura. And so he was obliged to help the Kauravas, although by unfair means the Kauravas were trying to serve the kingdom and be in power, remain in power, and it were driving away banishing the Pandavas by unfair means, by gambling. So Bhishma Dev was there, and Dronacharya also, Kripacharya. And Arjuna didn't want to fight against them. He felt it is not proper. So, of course, he's an associate of the Lord. But sometimes there's transcendental bewilderment also. And he did not know exactly now what shall I do. So he was ready to give up and go to the forest rather than fighting against the superiors. But then Krishna was helping him, guiding him. And Krishna is always helping the devotees. And Krishna, ultimately by his will, everything will happen anyhow. But he wants the devotees also to take the credit, and he wants the devotees to choose the right path. So he was telling here Arjuna that we have to follow dharma. So giving the example here, if the men are greedy and they want to quarrel with others and engage in illicit activities, drinking, smoking, and so on, then they will fall for their position. And then also the women become corrupt, as mentioned in the previous verse. And then there's an unwanted population, Vanashankara. And then there's so much chaos in society. Of course, sometimes apparently things seem to be all right, like even here nowadays in the material world. So materially speaking, everyone is thinking everything is fine. But no. Because Krishna is not in the center, God is not in the center. So the human beings, the embodied jivas in the human form of life, they are not properly situated. Although materially speaking, at the present maybe they may be well to do, but then difficulties will come, that is for sure. Due to war or some other calamity, or nowadays, of course, we can see due to COVID. So everyone is actually struggling. But the devotees, they will take shelter of Krishna. And difficulties are there in the material world, even if one is properly situated, because it is the nature of the material world. Difficulties will be there. But one must be properly situated. Because by nature, Jivera Sopo Krishnera Nityadas, everyone is a servant of Krishna, of the Lord. So one has to engage in spiritual activities. And so one has to follow dharma. So parodharma, the highest dharma, is to do what Krishna wants, as Krishna then explained at the end of Bhagavad-gita. Sarva dharmam parijajam amekam saranam bhaja. Am tam sarvapabebhyo mokshaishami masuchaha. Different kinds of dharma are there. But the ultimate dharma, that is service to Krishna, that is the constitutional position of the living entities, to serve Krishna. And that is the supreme dharma, parodharma. Other religious principles are there, even following vana ashram, acting according to one's occupation or according to one's ashram, 4 varnas and 4 ashrams are there, so one has to follow the rules and regulations of the different varnas and ashrams. But Krishna has to be in the center, and one should do everything for Krishna's pleasure. And then one is actually properly situated. So whereas even if one is following one's duty according to one ashram, but not for the satisfaction of the Lord, is not really completely, perfectly situated. And then there will be so many difficulties, more than usual. If one is surrendered to Krishna, difficulties will also be there. That is the nature of this world. But Krishna will protect one, Krishna will help us. And then the difficulties, they can be tolerated. So here it is explained that if the members of the family are not engaged in following the rules and regulations of one ashram, if they are not surrendering to the Lord, then they will fall down from their position, and then they will, as mentioned here, they will not give water and food to the ancestors. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is explaining also that that should be done, and that even in Bharatvarsha in India, even nowadays, you can see that pious persons, they will do some offerings to the forefathers regularly, or at least once a year. Usually there's a period, Shraddha Paksha, before Kartik. And then on the day when the father or mother left, and they have some special offering. On the last day, Ambavasya Tithi, they do combined for all the forefathers. Or sometimes they will go to a holy place like Gaya, and they will offer something to the forefathers. And the proper way is, as Prabhupada is explaining, and even Mahaprabhu, he went one time to Gaya and he was offering to his forefathers, because it was the custom. But first it is mentioned he offered to Vishnu the foodstuffs, and then to the forefathers, and then there is a benefit. But many times they will simply have some foodstuffs and they want to offer something to the forefathers. But it is not Vishnu Prasad, then there is not much benefit. But if it is Vishnu Prasad, then there will be benefit for the forefathers. Because, as explained here by Prabhupada, sometimes, because actually to become perfect, to enter the pastimes of the Lord is not easy. Even if one is engaged in devotional service, to attain perfection is not so easy. What to speak if one is not at all, or just doing some lip service for the Lord, then one will have to take birth again. And if one is sinful, so as explained here by Prabhupada, then one may get a ghost body. Or if one is committing suicide or is sinful, then one may get a ghost body. Or one may get an animal body. If one is acting like a dog, he becomes a dog. So then, if one is doing something for these forefathers, then they will get some benefit. And they may come to the human form of life again. And then they may engage in devotional service. If we give Vishnu Prasad, if it is not Vishnu Prasad, then there's practically no benefit. So, but then Prabhupada is making also a point and quoting from the Srimad Bhagavatam, from the 11th canto, that Sarvatmaya Sharanam Sharanyam Gato Mukunda Peritya Kartam. If one is surrendered to Mukunda, to Krishna, the giver of liberation, then one is not obliged to do special offering to the forefathers. If one is surrendered to Krishna, because then Krishna will take care. As Prabhupada is writing, that if one is engaged in devotional service, one can deliver hundreds and thousands of forefathers. Sometimes it is mentioned 7 generations, sometimes 10, depending on the purity of the devotee. The more one is pure, the more there will be benefit for the forefathers and way back. So, and also it is mentioned in scriptures that actually Devarshi Putapta, Nrinam Pitrinam, that not only one is obliged actually to the family members, but also the demigods, the sages. So the sun is there and the moon, they give light, and so we are actually indebted even to the demigods and the great sages who give knowledge. And even the family members, many family members are there, they may help one. So alone we are helpless. We need the help of the family members, we need the help of the sages, saintly persons, and usually as a result of, if the forefathers were pious, then they will leave some heritage, and then the children and the grandchildren, they will be able to enjoy that. Of course, it should be offered to Krishna ultimately, but there will be prosperity. So one is then, if somebody is giving us something, we have to actually reciprocate. If somebody is helping us, we have to reciprocate. But then so many obligations are there, and it is sometimes difficult to reciprocate with everyone. But as much as possible, we have to try to reciprocate. And then if you surrender to Krishna and do everything for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna, and then Krishna will take care not only of us, but all the family members. And one does not have to separately endeavor to repay our debt to the forefathers, to the sages, the sadhus, or the demigods. Just like if son is nicely serving the father, and then the father will be happy, and then also the father usually will take care of all the family members, not only his one son, but all the family members. So Krishna actually is taking care of everyone. So if we serve Krishna, if we surrender to Krishna, then we are properly situated, and then Krishna will take care of us and all the family members. And so, therefore Krishna also says in the Bhagvadgita at the end, Sarva Dharman Parijajya, that you should give up all kinds of dharma. So even Vana ashram, ultimately that is external. We have to follow as much as possible. Or then is, for example, Niti Shastra is there, moral codes are there, what to do and what not to do. As much as possible we have to follow. But if we followed all the rules and regulations of Vana ashram and Niti Shastra, the moral codes and so on, but if you are not surrendered to Krishna, then we are not properly situated, and there is not much benefit of doing all these activities according to Vana ashram and being kind and truthful. Whereas if one is surrendered to Krishna and does everything for Krishna's pleasure, even if sometimes there's some discrepancy in our activities, but that will not be significant, because we are surrendered to Krishna, and Krishna will take care of everything. So, therefore, of course, Krishna is encouraging Arjuna to follow dharma and to fight. Because actually it was Krishna's desire, because there were so many sinful people there, and that was a great burden for Mother Earth. So therefore they had to be vanquished. And Krishna ultimately, he can do everything himself. At the same time, Krishna wants to give the credit to his devotee, and he wants actually everyone to understand what is their duty. And that everyone should be properly situated and properly engaged in beneficial activities. Sarvabhute hite rataha, for the benefit of everyone. One should not only think about oneself, but also about others. Think for the welfare of others. So for this we, of course, must be surrendered to Krishna, and then also as much as possible we follow Varna ashram. Because we are this body, we have this body, so we have to also act in this world. We know we are spirit soul, and we have to surrender to Krishna, we have to serve Krishna. At the same time, being in this material world, so one has to act according to Varna ashram also. And that is required. Just like the body is there, the head is there, the arms are there, the stomach is there, the legs are there, and all of them have their importance, although the head is most important. But if the stomach is not well, if we eat something and then our stomach is disturbed and we have diarrhea, then we'll become weak, and we cannot, if you have to go to the bathroom all the time, we cannot do our service nicely, whatever it is. And then the body becomes weak, and even the brain is becoming weak, and we cannot think properly. So the stomach must be in good condition, and also, so for example, if somebody has an accident and his legs are cut off, then he will be not able to function nicely after. Of course, still he may be able to do something, but is not able to go around freely. So some difficulty will be there. So the legs are required, the stomach has to be in good order, and then we need our arms, and then we need our head, the brain. And so also in this world, so we need intelligent class of people. So these are the brahmanas who are teaching, who are worshipping the deities, who are performing the different samskars, purificatory rites. So this way they are the guiding, or they're giving blessings, or they're helping the other members of society, and encouraging them to be God conscious, to be religious, for their welfare. So that is required. And then the kshatriyas, the warriors are there, or the king, the government is there, and they have to see for law and order, that there's law and order in the state or in the kingdom. And they have to manage everything very nicely, so that there's no inconvenience for anyone. So that is required. And then the farmers have to be there, who are taking care of the cows and the calf and the bulls, and then taking care of the land and producing foodstuffs. And then also vegetables, and then grains, and then fruits. So these are all required. And then the workers are there, who are helping the other three classes. And so in this way there is harmony if everyone is doing their duty, and with Krishna in the center. So that is required. So Varna ashram is important also. But Krishna has to be in the center. Daivi Varna ashram, but Krishna in the center. And then society will be able to function properly. And then there will be peace, and there will be harmony. And everyone can advance in their spiritual life. And then they will be able to worship the Supreme Lord nicely, and then they may be able to practically realize their real nature as as spirit souls. So, but following one ashram has to be there also. And then gradually one can advance, and then one can realize one's transcendental nature as spirit soul, and then one can engage in the loving transcendental service and loving exchange with Krishna, and then one may attain perfection. So Prabhupada, therefore, he said that he wanted to establish one ashram. Before he left this world, many times he explained, one ashram has to be established. 50% of the work is done. So Prabhupada established so many temples and guided devotees in their devotional life. But then, so he was explaining of the necessity of having farm communities where the devotees can live peacefully, taking care of the cows and the land. And then also he wanted, so one ashram college where the devotees are trained either as a brahmana or kshatriya or vaishya or just being a laborer, shudra, but not identifying with the position, always understanding that I'm the servant of Krishna, but one has to act in a certain way. So not everyone can be a brahmana, not everyone has the quality of a brahmana. So one who has the quality of doing business, so he cannot become a brahmana artificially. So therefore Prabhupada wanted also one ashram college so that everyone is properly situated. And naturally it is there in this world. Actually you can see everywhere in the world, even though they don't even know about one ashram. They have no knowledge. But of course, ultimately the will of the Lord, but for the human beings it is natural that then some are more intelligent and they will be guiding. And you can see everywhere in the world, the teachers are there, the scientists are there, the intelligent class of people are there. So it is there. And then others are there, soldiers or managers, and head of the state, president or prime minister and so on. So they are seeing for the law and order of the country. It is there everywhere. And the businessmen are there, farmers are there, and the laborers are there. It is everywhere. But they are not engaged in the service of the Lord, unfortunately. And therefore they are not properly situated and they cannot be completely happy. Not possible. But due to the different modes, then some, even in material world, some happiness will be there, because by nature everyone is a spirit soul and by nature everyone is blissful. But being under the modes of material nature, then one is not aware of one's transcendental spiritual nature, and then one is identifying with the material body, and then according to the modes of material nature, if one is mode of goodness, one can be a little more happy. In the mode of passion, there's less happiness actually, and those who are in the mode of ignorance, they have the least happiness. There's more difficulty there. But some happiness will be there. But it is not true happiness. True happiness is there if one is engaged in the service of the Lord. Therefore, Krishna is telling here Arjuna that you have to follow dharma, and here mainly it is referring to, at this point here, that you have to do your duty as a warrior. So that dharma you have to follow. And then therefore is mentioning also Pindodaka Kriya, offering of food and water to the forefathers. So that has to be performed. And even as devotees sometimes, especially let's say the father has left the body, then even the devotee, he will do a ceremony that is actually prescribed. After 10 days, for purification of the house and the family members, there's a yagya performed. And for the benefit of the departed soul, because he might not have attained perfection. So he needs an additional help, antim samskar, the last purificatory rite when one leaves the body. So that in the next life he will have a good opportunity to engage in devotional service, to advance, if he has not attained perfection, which is very rare to become fully Krishna conscious and attain perfection. So then these activities are performed, have to be performed. And then 1 year after, usually then the devotees even, they will remember, oh yes, my father left 1 year ago, so I should do a ceremony. And then there's a ceremony done, at least 1 year after. Some they will do every year for many years, just as a form of gratitude that my father, he helped me so much. If he was a devotee spiritually also, or even materially speaking, or by his grace ultimately, we have come in this world, so we should feel indebted to some extent and try to repay that. Of course, if we are surrendering to Krishna, then the father automatically is benefited, but still also to set the example for others, the devotees, they will do that. And it is mentioned, because first of all we may not be exalted ourselves so much, so it is then for our purification also, and then by helping others, praying for others, then we'll be benefited also, and then others they will do for us also. And the more we are surrendered to Krishna, then we'll be inclined to help others, to do things for others also, and then automatically Krishna will take care and others will help us also if we are in need. So if you do good, then others will also do good for you. So that is just the natural law of this world also. So even as the devotees, we are supposed to follow these activities, at least to some extent. So something should be done also for the forefathers, immediate forefathers, at least the first year. Yes. Yeah. 6 o'clock, yeah, okay. Yeah, we may stop here and you can ask question. Yes.
For example, whatever Arjuna said to Krishna is all right. Everything is very justified
Yes.
and proved, because he's speaking from the bodily platform,
Yes.
thinking that he's this body, or some Srila Prabhupada sometimes says that Arjuna speaks from the bodily platform, thinking about himself as a body, about his relatives as
Yes.
an extension of his body.
Yes.
But I want to ask a question, like, for example, in my situation, I'm from Muslim family, so the family members became immediately opposed to me.
Yes.
Of course, was too sharp. You see, suddenly I was in Muslim religion, and suddenly I became a Krishna follower of
Devotee.
Krishna.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yes.
For them it was just like a bomb is burst. Immediately it was the some, and it was very hard time
Yes.
for me.
Uh-huh.
See. All of them, they just
Rejected you.
They reject me and turn their back. I couldn't eat with them because they're eating meat.
Yes.
I was cooking separately. I should sit alone, eat my food somewhere in the room. It was very heavy time. And I was thinking, but as you said, we should be very polite.
Right.
As elders.
Yes.
Parents is considered as the first guru.
Yes.
for soul.
Yes. Yes.
They delivered him. The mother gives
Birth.
body.
Yes.
Even
Yes.
from her own body, she creates
Right.
a body for the child.
Yes.
9 months in the womb, she's carrying,
Yes.
and then feeding with the milk, breast milk.
Right.
And
Yes.
so
Therefore,
many
we have to
times.
always remember that and be
Yeah,
respectful
and
to
then
the
giving
parents.
education and
Yes.
feeding and doing so much.
Hmm.
But as soon as you are following to another religion, another path, they immediately becomes as enemies. What
Yes.
to do?
What to do? Yes.
Because they can insult you, they
Yes.
can beat even you because
Yes.
they are maybe parents or auntie, uncle, that what you're doing takes the
Hmm.
stick and just beat
Ah.
you.
Yeah.
Uh,
So what to
allows
do?
you to follow to this
Ah,
path,
ah, ah,
behind this path.
Yes.
It's not our way.
Hmm.
And all neighbors, relatives looking to us,
Hmm.
what you are doing. So how to do, what to do in this case?
Yeah, so we have to see time, place and circumstances. And then, but basically we are fortunate if we're getting this transcendental knowledge, and if we can realize, like the devotees, that actually this is the highest path. And then, but we still respect the other path, like the Muslims and the Christians. And there's some true Christians are there, and there's some good Muslims are there also. There's some Muslims who are vegetarians, and some Christians who are vegetarians, but the minority. And so we respect them, and also we have to understand that somehow they are misguided. But at least they have sentiments. Oh, we believe in Allah, we believe in God, the Christians. But because the same point actually, that the knowledge has been lost, the real knowledge. And even Krishna is saying to Arjuna, the parampara has been lost. So even in these religions, mostly the knowledge, the true knowledge, the pure knowledge has been lost. And it becomes,
Some chain
yeah,
is broken.
right.
Some
And it is becomes perverted. And some misunderstanding is there. And only very few, for example, as I'm saying, very few Christians are vegetarian, and there may be more in the mode of goodness, and then there's still something is there, because they have understood that actually we should be vegetarian. Even some of the Muslims, they're also vegetarian, but very few. So they are a little more pure, and for them there's more chance to advance, and so we respect them. And others, you see, even if somebody, let's say, as you're saying, the family members, because you're leaving the religion and they are against you, maybe they want to beat you, and then you just go away. You have to run. Yes.
didn't find any other
Right.
solution.
Not then to go away.
30 years in
Yes.
Vrindavan.
Yes.
I left.
Yes.
Without anything. Because
Yes.
I'm derived also from the heritage of my
Right.
mother.
Yes. Even
I
you.
have no nothing
No.
now.
Yes. But still, because you're surrendering to Krishna, so Krishna is reciprocating, and whatever you need you will get, right? Although not much, but you're not getting the inheritance from your parents, but ultimately you don't have to worry. And even though in this situation, although they're against you, but we should not be against them. Then we are neutral, tatashta.
This is, I had no such...
Yes,
I was
you have to be,
fighting with
no, you should be tatastha. Okay, due to the circumstances, now they're against me. But because they are conditioned in a certain way, and therefore they cannot understand you, because they are not on a high level of consciousness, they are on the lower level. So therefore you should not be against them, but you should be neutral. You're not mixing with them, you're not nice to them, because you cannot be, because they're not nice to you. How you can be nice to them? But you're neutral. Okay, you respect them, and they gave birth to me, and so I should respect them, but I don't go close to them, because I mean they are against me, they may beat me up. So then you're not going to them, you're not for them, but you not should be against them and thinking they're bad people. No, they're just conditioned in a certain way, and they cannot appreciate because they are less intelligent, they are less fortunate.
Now I'm
So-
very sorry
yes.
for many things
Yes.
that I did.
Right.
It was not right.
Yes.
But as you said, we should to perform for our for
Right.
others.
Then what you
Right.
right. That's why what you can do, you can do some sanskar for them, or even in just, for example, if you don't have the means, you can just pray for them. My dear Lord, somehow they're in this situation and they rejected me, but actually they helped me also in my childhood. So I should be thankful. And even Jesus Christ, right? They were crucifying him. But then he was saying, my dear Lord, please forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. Yeah, similarly your parents or relatives, they don't know what they're doing. That's why they're against you. But you took the right path, you're properly situated, and so Krishna will help you, Krishna will protect you, and actually Krishna also, if they are not too offensive, that's why you should be neutral and not against them, and you should be positive, have a positive frame of mind for them, and you may pray to Krishna, let them in the future, let them become devotional, and then maybe sometimes even if you could send some prasadam to them, they may accept or not, whatever.
Whenever I'm going to preach to Uzbekistan,
Yeah.
I'm bringing to them, to their children, so many gifts.
Yeah.
Gifts,
Yeah.
I'm distributing.
Right, and then you have to not mingle so much, but give them something, and then eventually they may also become a little more positive. Like even when I joined first, my parents, they were not understanding, because I had a good position, materially speaking, I gave up everything. And then about that I spoke to them about what I'm doing, and then sometimes also sending prasadam and being kind, and understanding that their way of life, they cannot change it, especially if they are older, they cannot change. And the father is always thinking, he's my son, even you're 60 years old, and my father is 80 years old, but I'm still the little son, although I'm 60 years old.
Yeah, that is.
So then, what the son can say to the father? I mean, because the father is the father, he knows more usually. But then, my father, for example, he was also appreciating and saying and understanding, I have a little knowledge and realization and understanding. And he understood also that now eventually that what I'm doing is actually something very, very good and positive. Not drinking, not smoking, not gambling, living a pious life. And then he was appreciating also eventually. And then afterwards, so in this way, then they may benefit. And anyhow, even if now they are a little inimical, but because you are devotee, then they will get some benefit.
Yes, even Srila Prabhupada's family,
Yes.
they're not supporting him.
No. Only the youngest son,
Yeah,
Vrindavan Das.
Vrindavan.
The others were not supporting.
Yeah,
Yeah, he came here many times.
But
Yes.
you see, nevertheless, all of them went to spiritual world, at least to
Ah,
my house.
well, maybe. You see, the thing is, it is mentioned that the family members are liberated, but not immediately. You have to understand. If you're a devotee, even, for example, ourselves, we engage in devotional service, and so the family members are benefited, and it is mentioned they are practically liberated. And we also liberated, but we are not fully liberated, because we are on the path of liberation. And liberation means if you are fully realized, like that you are not this body, and if you know your relationship with Krishna.
Like Prabhupada realized.
Yeah. Yeah, and so when you know your relationship with Krishna, so if you realize that you're a gopi or a gopa, whatever, that is real realization, self-realization, atma sakshatkar. Now we know we are the eternal servant of Krishna, so in one sense there's this partial realization, but it is not full realization. When you know your Swarup, that is known as Swarup Siddhi, that is real realization. So even ourselves, we are not yet fully realized. And if you are not fully realized, you cannot enter the pastimes of the Lord. You have to take birth again. But you will be in a family of devotees, so you can make more advancement. So similarly, the family members, because you're on the path of liberation, they're also beginning the path of liberation. Yeah, and then in this lifetime, maybe they have the opportunity to take some prasadam. And they had one time prasadam or whatever, maybe they're saying Hare Krishna one time, so they are starting on the path of liberation, but they will have to take birth again. And then they have to engage in devotional service. And then only they can be liberated. But usually it takes a few lifetimes.
But I'm surprised what about Prahlad Maharaj.
Yes.
He took birth in the family of
Yes.
demons, king of demons,
Yes.
Hiranyakashipu. And nevertheless, Nrsimhadev said to him that all your ancestors, all your
Yes.
ancestors and those who are coming descendants of you are already liberated. Because he said, just liberate his father.
Yes.
say to my father. He said,
Yeah.
"All these sayings."
Yes. But the same point, they will be liberated in due course of time. In due course of time, not immediately. No, not immediately. Not possible. But in due course of time. It is agyata sukriti. Because the person is doing devotional service, then they're not knowing, they're not doing anything good, but because devotee was there in the family, then the family members, they are getting this agyata sukriti, pious result, unknown. They didn't do anything also, but because of the devotee in the family, they will get benefit, and in the next lifetime, they may engage in devotional service. Because without engaging in devotional service, you can never go to the spiritual world.
But in a Muslim society, because
Uh-huh.
I'm living there so long, I know the customs are so strong, so
Uh-huh.
strict rules and regulations
Yes.
for life. We cannot change nobody who went inside. Like I'm thinking that one ashrama is the same stuff
Uh-huh.
like this.
Yes.
Myself, I wouldn't accept the one ashrama at all. Like in Chaitanya Charitamrita, who says, I'm not a Brahmana, I'm not a Kshatriya.
Yeah, even
why
Mahaprabhu
should I
says,
not a Shudra?
Nam viprana chan narabadiyana vaishna shudra nam varna chakabadiyana vasatyarva. Right, right. Yes. But I'm the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. Yes.
This is simple. This is I can accept.
Yes.
But those one ashram, even Daivi one ashram,
Yes.
is so long way, so strict. And as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was speaking with Ramananda Rai,
This is external.
he said, "This is
Yes.
external. Give me something more.
Yeah,
more.
yes.
Next,
Yes.
next." He was not satisfied. And for me, it's boring. This Varna Ashrama.
Ah.
Even what Srila Prabhupada said about Daivi Varna Ashrama, in the sense that mostly people so degraded in
Right.
Kali Yuga.
Yes.
They need be organized.
Right.
Otherwise, they become an animals.
Yeah,
Living
yes,
as
yes,
animals, they're
yes.
hippies.
Right.
They're becoming an animals.
Yes.
They couldn't consider from whom she delivered a child. She didn't know even the father of the child.
Right.
That's why it should be somehow organized as a Varna.
Yeah. No, it has to be there.
Oh,
Even you can
devotees-
see, for example, I mean, in the temple also, you need the pujaris, you need the priests, you need the temple president.
Commander,
Yeah,
commander.
you need everybody.
Yeah.
That is required.
Like
That's all.
hierarchy, some
Yeah,
hierarchy.
it has to be there. Otherwise, there's chaos. If everybody thinks,
Yeah.
why he's president, I should be president also. No, you need one president, and then you need the brahmanas who are doing the seva to the Lord. Not that everyone can do anything.
This
No,
is-
has to be according to one's nature, and has to be somebody who is deciding who will do what. So some system has to be there.
System of Varnashrama also.
Yes.
President and then some Kshatriya.
Right,
And
right.
some Brahmanas is there for advisors.
Yeah, and the pujaris are there, the
Pujaris,
brahmanas.
yeah.
So that is required. That is required. But we don't identify. We should not think, I'm now the president.
Yeah.
We may sometimes, we have to say though, sometimes the president has to say,
Qualities
Yes.
in the person.
right, yeah.
But still we should perform some performs for my father and mother.
Yeah.
They left already body 20
Yes.
years back.
Mm.
So they're doing, my three sisters, they're doing according to Muslim traditions.
Okay.
Some every year they
Okay, some ceremony.
making something
Fine, good.
distributing to
Yeah.
neighbors. But I'm not doing anything.
Well, at least you can pray for them, okay? Then you're okay. And then they're okay also, that will help them if you just pray for them.
But in Kumbh Mela, in Allahabad,
Uh-huh.
like 25 years back, I was there, and you see, I was keeping with me the photo of my
Okay.
father, mother, and
Uh-huh.
myself and other relatives. And when 3 o'clock morning, we went to the Ganges,
Uh-huh.
and after Nag Baba
Yeah. Bath.
we
Took
went
bath.
inside. It was dark and cold, so something February something.
Yeah.
I went inside with these photos.
And you put the photos inside.
In the
Okay,
water.
sure. Then they're getting some,
But
yeah.
then photo somehow taken by Ganga.
Yeah,
And
good.
It stream of Ganges just took the
Mm.
photo and I lost it. You see,
No problem. So the benefit will be there because they are inside the Ganges River.
because the sun,
Ah.
sun planet, and it says that Ganges goes to this planet Dex.
Well,
Okay.
the Ganges is coming ultimately from the from the spiritual world. Yeah. Okay, I think we have to. Last question. Yeah.
One thing I have to say,
Yeah.
Prabhupada has said that you should surrender to Mukunda, the
Giver
blessed
of
giver.
liberation. Yeah.
Then the Lord will give benefit to your
Relatives.
ancestors.
Yes.
No need to, you don't worry. It is not your duty. He is taking the duty.
Yeah, we don't have to worry now. But from our side still, as it is mentioned, it's nice to think about them and to pray to the Lord. Yeah, from our side, it we can do. Krishna will take care, but still from our side, we should feel indebtedness. We're indebted to them. And we should always be praying for others, try to help others. Not just think about ourselves, okay, it's me and service to the Lord. No, but we try to help others also. And be grateful that the family members, they help me to some extent, so we can pray for them, no problem.
What about the descendants? I have no my children, but my
Okay.
three sisters, they have many children,
Okay.
and their children married again. Children.
Yeah.
And whenever I am coming,
They will benefit also.
But I should help them. They not allow me to preach them.
No, just give them a little prasadam.
Little prasad
Yeah.
only.
And even just by you doing seva, they will benefit. Even in your last life. Your last life, you don't know what you were, right, in your last life. But even in your last life, because now you're a devotee, those who were connected with you in the last life, they will also benefit. So that is there. Not only before and after, but even in your last lifetime, where you were. Or even in the next lifetime, they will benefit, whoever will be connected to you. So backwards, forwards, left and right, everyone will benefit by you being a devotee. Okay, yes.
Prabhu, this 10th day we are offering something to the dead person, right?
Yeah,
But
yes.
for our Vaishnavas, we are not doing like this. Like
No.
Mr. Prabhu left the body.
Who?
Mr. Prabhu. our-
Yes.
We didn't do anything on the 10th day. Like this.
No, because he's a devotee. And but what we did a little ceremony
Yeah, that
also, and in glorification, or we spoke about him, and there was a feast there for the devotees.
On the 10th.
No, after 3 days.
3 days.
If the family members are not there, then after 3 days.
On Muslim family also they are doing on Saturday.
Yeah. If the no family members are there, then 3 days after, a little ceremony can be done, which we did also. And then we were speaking about his wonderful devotional service, and there was a feast for all the devotees. But for the household, it is after 10 days. You have to do a ceremony, because there's a contamination period of 10 days. So then after that, the ceremony is done for the benefit of the deceased person, soul. And then if he has not attained perfection, so then the benefit of the ceremony will go to him for his benefit. So then wherever he goes, he will have a good start for his next lifetime. That's all. So we do that also. That is usually that everyone will do. That is according to Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Sakriya Saradipika. And Prabhupada has explained also in many of the purports in the 10th canto and Chaitanya Charitamrita that we should follow the different samskars, purificatory rites. And he was even saying that Krishna's parents were doing for Krishna the different samskar, Namkaran samskar. They were doing for Krishna, giving the first grains, cutting his hair, sending him to Gurukul later. So these samskars have to be done, and Mahaprabhu's parents, they did for Mahaprabhu, although he's the Supreme Lord. But still, just to teach others that it should be done. So we do that also. Although the main thing is to serve Krishna, but at the same time these activities are there so that will help us to become pure devotees. And it is setting the example for the common man. Like that. So it is for everyone's benefit. So therefore it should be done.
And for Bhagavadgita Prabhu was just his ash of his body was spread on Yamuna, or
No, the body, we burned the body and then everything was put in the Jamuna.
okay, but
Yeah.
there is no some
There's no
small
samadhi.
like
No.
in the Goshala.
No,
Okay.
no. I mean, it can be done, but it's not that absolutely necessary. And I mean, so many devotees are there, and all the time somebody's dying, and then even now we have already enough samadhis there. How many samadhis we can do?
Yeah.
How many samadhis?
Yeah.
If you do for everyone.
Yeah.
But you know, the spiritual master and the sannyasis, for them usually we do samadhi, mostly.
Then one more, Prabhu. During your class, you said lip service something.
Lip service.
What is it? What is
Yeah, lip service means you do, just like for example, somebody may be saying with the lips, I am devotee of Krishna. Many people are saying. But then what is he doing? He's not doing anything. Just saying, I am devotee of Krishna. But what means to be a devotee of Krishna? Means you're surrendering to Krishna. You do everything for Krishna's pleasure. But sometimes people, they have some sentiment and they have some faith, and they say, I'm devotee of Krishna. But then they hardly do anything. Just in the morning, pranam, they have a picture maybe in the house, pranam. Maybe they will offer one incense. But that's all. And then the whole day, they're busy and then they're watching the news, okay, who won the cricket match today, or what's happening in America, what is happening here. So, but they believe in God. They will offer maybe one incense, do pranam in the morning and night time before taking rest. Jai Bhagavan, please give me whatever I need. So this is lip service, but only actually they're doing things for themselves. They may pray then to God, please give me whatever I need. So this is known as lip service. Just with the lips, okay, I'm devotee of Krishna. I'm doing service from Krishna, offering one incense. Or then begging from Krishna, please give me this, give me that. So this is lip service. It is not real service. Okay?
one more thing? Sometimes I have watched
Yes?
in front of our temple.
Yes.
There is a one big banyan tree is there, you know.
Yeah.
They came to they
Banyan tree? No, in front of the temple is not a banyan tree. No, it's another tree, yeah.
Sometimes they worship the tree.
Yeah, yes, because it is a holy tree. You see, there are different holy trees. Like, for example, the banyan tree, the peepal tree, and even the mango tree. Different trees are there, ashok tree. So these are considered to be holy tree. Yeah. So they're holy, of course. Even tulsi is a holy creeper bush. So some trees are there and they are considered to be, even they can be worshipped, but you don't have to, but you may. You may worship. You may worship or you may not worship, no problem. Either one. You can also offer some water to the peepal tree or banyan tree. There's no harm that you can do. But if you don't do, also no problem. You may do or you may not do. So tatashta, kriya. So you may do, you may not do, no problem. But you have to serve Krishna, that you have to do. And then you have to refrain from sinful activities, vikarma. That you have to know. And some things you may do, you may not do, no problem. So people are worshipping the tree also, some sentiment.
Maharaj, I was just thinking about Arjuna. Arjuna
Yes.
is actually a self-realized person. He knows everything. He knows that he's not bad because he's Arya.
Yes.
Arya. He belongs to Arya family.
Yes.
So just by the will of Krishna, he was illusioned.
Yes.
He
Yes.
understood. But nevertheless, after the war, he came again to his senses that he's Arya, he knows everything, he's self-realized person. He came
Yes.
to his senses, or not?
Yeah, of course. Even at the end, when of the Bhagavad-Gita, you can see he came back to his senses. And even in the second chapter, you can see he's surrendering, even in the second chapter. I'm surrendering to you, I'm your disciple, please instruct me. And the 2:7, yes. Shishya mom.
He's not unfriendly, joking.
No.
Now I'm soul surrendering.
Right. Yes, you're my guru, I'm your disciple. And then at the end of Bhagavad Gita also Krishna is telling him, okay, now you can do as you wish. I'm not forcing you, Krishna is not forcing. But then Krishna is suggesting what to do, and then the Arjuna was doing what Krishna wanted.
They're in the Satkara also.
What?
Satkara.
Well, they're friends.
Friends.
Yes.
But, you see, if he will take Krishna as a guru and himself as his disciple.
Yes. But still friend. No. Still master and servant is there in this sense. But you see, the actually, even between the disciple and the spiritual master, there's a formal relationship, is my guru, I'm the disciple, but then there's also Vishvambena Seva, where one is more intimate. He's like my best friend. My guru is my best friend. He's my well-wisher. He's my best friend. So then maybe a friendly relationship also with the guru, but still some maryada, and one has to know the limit also. One should not be too friendly. No, not too familiar. Yeah. But the friendly relationship actually should be there also.
This Ramachandra was Maryada Leela. Is Maryada Purushottam.
Maryada Purushottam, yes.
And Krishna is Leela Purushottam.
Yes. And Mahaprabhu Prem Purushottam.
Prem Purushottam.
Yes.
Maryada means he was limited.
No,
Like
it means,
only one wife.
yeah, following the rules and regulation. Maria, he was not crossing the boundaries. Yeah.
But Krishna could.
Yeah,
Because he
Krishna was lying, he was stealing, but that is transcendental. Because he was a small boy, right? He's a gop.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Prem.
Yeah, giving Krishna Prem.
Krishna Prem to
Yes.
everybody without consideration.
Yes.
Krishna in one lifetime realized all this stuff, and you see time is going on so quickly.
So quickly, yes.
So many difficulties, as you said, and this COVID, I'm thinking that COVID given by Krishna himself, because without sanction of Krishna,
Of course.
the blade of grass
Yeah,
will not
yes.
move.
You see the same
It
thing
is
because,
separated part of humanity.
yeah, not because people were too sinful.
Too simple.
So something had to happen. And this COVID happened and people are struggling because
so
of
many
that.
people died.
Yeah, not only this, but then there's so much also fear, anxiety, and illusion, bewilderment, and cheating. Many are taking advantage also of this and making so much money and cheating the people also. You can see, because of COVID, then bringing them to the hospital, charging 1 lakh for one room for one day, incredible things you hear. But that is a kind of, because people are sinful, and then there has to be a reaction. And because of the media, actually it is most probably is not as serious as it is presented by the media. Because of the media, it has been exaggerated actually.
Exaggerated a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
And so that is the thing, but because people are sinful, then it had to happen in this way.
And they're saying that it's not the last thing happened.
Yeah.
Predicted so many things in the
Well,
10 year.
of course, the difficulties will always be there. Now this difficulty, another difficulty, maybe another war. There were 2 world wars, right? So these things are happening because people are sinful, and there has to be a reaction in one way or the other. And there's some other catastrophes, like the tsunami was there, or too much heat, or too much rain, or earthquake. These things are there, the reaction, because people are sinful.
But you see, when I'm praying to Krishna Balaram or to deities, I'm just asking that give me good health and long life. Because I want to become a self-realized person, and
Yes.
then go. I will be ready to go. But you see, I'm thinking, I want to see the morning of golden age. I want to live up to this time when golden age started, the morning.
Yeah, well, of course, the golden age started when Mahaprabhu appeared.
Yes.
That is when it started, but
this is like Brahma Muhurta.
yeah.
I want to see the sun will rise.
Well, then you have to take maybe a few more times birth
on
to see.
Again, this is too.
And you see, still we are in the Kali Yuga, even though Mahaprabhu is here and the golden age is there, but still difficulties will be there.
Yeah.
And it's not that everyone will be devotee. No, some difficulties will always be there. That is there. But because of Mahaprabhu, so we have the opportunity to engage in devotional service, and we can make great advancement by Mahaprabhu's mercy. But not everyone will accept. Even when Mahaprabhu was there, not everyone accepted Mahaprabhu. Even now, even after 1,000 years, not everyone will accept Mahaprabhu or Krishna. No. But those who are fortunate, they will. And those who are intelligent, those who are fortunate, they will accept. And then they will be benefited. So, okay. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.